Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, Ramayana 198. As you may remember, Lakshman left Sita in the ashram. 18. Ravana in ochre robes. Unable to bear the harsh words spoken by Sita, Lakshman left her and went in search of Rama. He was extremely angry, and his breath was coming in gasps. He could hardly control himself or his anger. He had been unwilling to go, but he was forced to do so. Ravana had been waiting in a spot not far away from there. He had been waiting for Lakshman to leave the ashram. Ever since the dying voice of Maricha reached him, Ravana knew that the poor Rakshasa had been killed by Rama. He felt no compunction at all about the mishap to his uncle. Maricha had served the purpose, and it was no matter if he died now. For a while, Ravana was worried lest Lakshman should remain in the ashram. He was greatly relieved when he saw him leaving. Promptly, he assumed the garb of a parivrajaka, a mendicant, and walked towards the ashram of Rama. He was now wearing robes which were ochre-colored, and he had an umbrella in his hand. His hair was matted, and there were wooden sandals on his feet. He bore a staff on his shoulder, and in his hand he held a kamandalu. He walked fast towards Sita. Sita was alone without the protection of the brothers, and now he approached her. It was like the dark night nearing the evening, when it is bereft of the sun and the moon. Ravana came to the doorway of the ashram and he saw Sita. He looked at Sita as Angaraka would the star Rohini. His eyes were hungry and impatient. The very trees in Janasthana held their breath. The air did not move, so appalling was the crime which he was now contemplating, that nature held her breath and wept in silence. Ravana was not able to conceal the redness in his eyes, and the river Godavari flowed softly, scared of his angry looks. Ravana stood at the doorway waiting for Sita to appear. Slowly he walked nearer and stood very near the entrance of the ashram. Like a well, deceptive because it is covered with grass, Ravana, dressed in the garb of a sannyasi, stood at the doorway of the ashram, and then he saw Sita. He stood as though he were paralyzed, so bewitching was her beauty. Her face was like the moon in its charm, and her teeth could be seen gleaming white between her lips. Wide and large, her eyes were like the petals of a lotus, a white lotus, and her beauty was unearthly. Dressed in yellow silk, she stood alone in the ashram, and Ravana feasted his eyes on this woman, who was much more lovely and captivating than he imagined. He thought that she was the most beautiful woman in all the three worlds. He thought her to be Lakshmi, who had abandoned the lotus and come down to earth to beautify it. She was beautiful, unbelievably beautiful, and stricken as he was by the arrows of the god of love, still Ravana composed himself and, reciting verses from the Vedas, announced his presence to her. Hearing someone at the doorway, Sita came out and saw the sannyasi and saluted him. He saw that she was alone, and he asked her, "Who may you be? Who lives alone in the forest, alone in this ashram? You are very beautiful, fair like molten gold. Your gold-colored silk enhances your charm. Your charm makes me think of a lotus pond filled with lotuses. Are you Parvati, by any chance, who has thought of wandering at will in the forest? Are you Shachi Devi, Lakshmi? Are you the earth who has assumed a form? Are you Rati, the bride of the god of love, or do you happen to be an Apsara?" Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.